So after a few requests, we're going to do a bit of a rundown on this winch that I built. We'll start this end. That is a Toyota 60 series PDO drum, shaft and the mechanical disconnect. Powering it is two Red Winch ox motors running into two 80:1 Runva low mount gearboxes. So why twin gearboxes? So it's to me it was all about connecting the two motors in the simplest way to do so. So I've previously run a 2-up on the front, so that's a New Zealand made adapter, putting two motors on top of a standard low mount winch using a belt drive. Good wee setup, they work well. But I always hated the monstrosity sitting on the front, so freaking ugly. So, connecting two motors together. So these things, these ox motors do something like 10 or 11,000 revs per minute. So connecting two motors together like that, you need substantial, which is where I feel the 2-up lacked with having the belt drive. It's so much restriction. So my idea was to connect them on the slow speed side. Simple chain and sprockets. And another wee theory was that these low mount gearboxes are pretty basic. They don't have any bearings or anything in them. All the planetary gears just on simple shafts, sort of mass produced. When you put a lot of pain on them, I believe that, you know, they start binding up. So if you've got two of them, well, that's less pain, isn't it? They're both sharing the load. So yeah, so we basically have a Runva gearbox here with its own end plate, and the other end would be the motor end plate. So in the middle is the actual drum. It's been cut and shortened. The spline, we needed the spline to connect the gearbox, so we've retained all that. So basically the resemblance of a drum is in there, and we flanged sprockets to it. Each two of them. That's the stub of the second drum there. So inside the end plates we machined out, we took the nylon bushes out and machined a bearing in there, and the drum had to be machined down a couple of mils to suit that bearing as well. Still plenty of meat in it. So that's how they work. So they're both spinning on bearings, both sides. And on this one here, which is the drive, we bushed out the centre to accommodate the Toyota shaft, which when stripped off the gearbox, the PDO gearbox, they have a keyway in them. So I accommodated that keyway inside the drum by bushing it out and making a slot. So that's how I coupled the Toyota part to the Runva. So these end plates are all custom made. made on my one of my CNC machines that I have. I enjoy playing with those. So they were also sized accordingly. The diameter of those, they were sized accordingly so that they would fit in the lathe. It's not a big lathe, so that I could machine the centres for the bearings. So that the Toyota shaft, originally just on brass bushes, now runs on bearings. Yeah. So it's all mounted on a 16mm plate, alloy plate, fairly solid, as you can see. The free spool. So we've managed to come up with a plan with all that there, and it works well. A couple of wee videos coming up. All air controlled and controlled up front in cab. What next? The brakes. Righto. So I found these pneumatic calipers online, and they work really well. So the discs are actually pit bike discs. I don't know what, I found them on AliExpress. Quite a hard metal. They are attached. So you can see there, that's the hex shaft, the standard hex shaft that normally runs through most of your low mount winches. I think it's like 8mm or 10mm hex shaft. So the disc itself, I welded a flange to the adapter. So it's the 20 spline to hex shaft adapter. There's two of them there that both come out of super winches. They were a good hard material to work with. So they both spin on a bearing each side. I've machined onto those adapters. So that end plate is a motor end plate, which I'll put a large bush in there, spun out where the nylon bush would be, and made this large alloy bush to take the bearing. And then made a pedestal in the CNC to take the next bearing. So that the disc itself floats on its own. And then from there on, the hex shaft disappears into the Runver gearbox. I've drilled a hole in the end of the Runver gearbox. shaft goes through the end bearing and through to the drive. Where's the drive? I think the drive is on the last planetary gear there, somewhere about there. So yeah, the size, you can see there the size of those end plates on the drum. To accommodate the size of those, the other end plates are on spacers. So I don't think there's much else. I've had 3 trips out now, used it a few times. It's going really well. I'm really pleased with it. Why put it in the back? For this. Beautiful rope stacking every time. Another pet hate of mine is running rope through a fair lead. You never pull straight in front. You're always pulling to the side somewhere on the track, and you're always bunching your rope up on the end. Resetting ropes is not a thing now. Oh, the brakes, the air brakes. So it's fed from the air canister here, tank. I had to reduce the airflow to those because they were too vicious. So that is a airflow reducer coming out, cuts the airflow down quite a bit, so that when I let off the power, the in and out button, the air goes, rather than a rush of air slamming the brakes on, the air goes in a lot slower and gradually applies the brake. I don't always use the brake because when you're doing flat pulls and that out in the mud and whatnot, you don't need it. It's only if you want to hold yourself on a hill, and it holds very well. So we've got, yeah, to power up, to power the brake, we rigged up a relay with 2 diodes, so one on the in button, one on the out button. They both control the solenoid, so when they turn the key on, the solenoid will put air straight to the brake. And then when you hit the button, it releases the air. So that, in that way, if my compressor's not working and I've got no air, I can still use the winch. Albeit I have to be careful. I'm going to make a lock in here somewhere so that I can lock the free spool in, because if there's no air, there's nothing to hold it on. So that's the only thing left to do, really. Some of this cabling is a bit temporary. There's a bit of work I want to do in here for later on. Put a lid in here with a false floor, and then a nice box with a hard lid for when we're out on the tracks for all the gear. There's a few plans coming up, but yeah, that's it. I'm happy with it. It works. If it gives anyone ideas, go for it. I'm all about it. I'll finish up with a few more build videos I found on my phone, and also if you'd like to see more, I have some videos in my shorts, YouTube shorts. If you'd like to see those, have a look. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. There's probably a bit more of this stuff coming up in future. Thank you.